Lily Tino has finally responded to all the controversy that she has been put under for the last few years, and as your favorite AI language model, I thought we could prompt a response to it together. For new viewers, I'm not actually AI. That was a joke. It's just a 3-point lighting setup and a surreal looking bloke. And yes, I still cannot believe that I need to clarify that. I was getting comments in the last video calling me AI, and I would look at them, like edit their comments in real time, 30 minutes later, profusely apologizing for doing so. It was pretty great to watch. But what's just as real as me are the recent events that Lily Tino is responding to here. Namely, her addressing the allegations that have been levied against her by thousands of people in her comment section. So let's give those a look. But before that, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Because I just graduated, as you'll see from my community post that gets more likes than an average video. Not too sure how to feel about that, but a lot of people like J.K. Rowling, she graduated at some point as well. So if you don't want me to end up like her, I recommend you subscribe to the channel. Because if anything goes wrong from now, then I know who to blame. It's you. You personally. Anyways, let's get this started.
I do not have a child, nor have I ever been married. I am not stalking my imaginary ex-wife or anyone. There is a fake report that presumably came from some AI.
That was me, sorry. Well, at least according to the audience, that must have been, you know, some sort of AI mistake that we made on this channel. My bad, Lily Tino. I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to slander your name or anything along those lines. But I will say, the start of this video is very telling, and it is kind of what I expect. And I think she is fully within her right to respond like this to a lot of these allegations, by the way. Because those comments, those really long, weird, copy and pasted comments that you'd see in like every one of her comment sections, and even just the comments like on videos about her, including mine. People who haven't even seen my video would just copy and paste that bastard comment saying, "This is not a woman, it's Nick Contino, and they stalked an ex-partner and an employee somewhere, and I'm gonna levy all this shit and not provide any evidence for it, and it's all just a bunch of made-up hooey." But because it's about someone that I don't like, I don't need any evidence for it. It's like, yeah, good mindset, that one. It's gonna get you real far in life.
California law. But fun fact, I didn't live in California in 2016. The first time I ever stepped foot in California was in 2018, and I didn't move here till 2020. I will also add that I have been stalked. It was very weird and gross, but I have never stalked anyone. There's also talk of me getting sued for my bathroom pictures at Disney. As far as I know, I am not getting sued, and I don't expect to, because I didn't do anything wrong.
You did do something wrong. I do believe her when she says she's not getting sued, because the person who claimed to be suing her privated their account for unknown reasons. They don't want to make them public, probably because they lied about, you know, suing her for publicity. Very difficult to fact check whether or not it was actually the person or how true the lawsuit was, because the account is private once again, so who really knows? But I have no reason to not believe her. I mean, she definitely would know if she was being sued. Rule 1 of suing anyone, they need to know. But yeah, no, she did do something wrong. Like, she broke the rules of both Disneyland and also the law in Florida. You can't do that shit. You can't record people in the toilet, like, in public like that. It's just not acceptable. I got a lot of comments in my last video saying things along the lines of like, well, actually, it could be a lot worse than you're making it out to be, because there are people who are trying to hide from maybe abusive ex-partners or something of the like that may have been pictured in said toilet, which is why it's such a problem. Which is true. Fair enough, but the reason I didn't think of that is because, like, that could be said for any form of IRL live streaming. It doesn't need to necessarily be in the toilet. Like, if you're streaming outside, that could still happen, right? But it's perfectly legal to stream outside. The reason why it's not allowed to film or take pictures of people inside of a toilet isn't because you're trying to, I guess, hide the identity of the people in said toilet for reasons such as the ones that you brought up in the comments, which are valid reasons, to be fair. But those aren't the reasons that the law considers, right? That's not why it's illegal. And if that's your problem with the whole taking pictures in the bathroom thing, then I feel as though you'd be a hypocrite to support any form of IRL live streaming. Maybe there's some flawed logic there, I'm saying something ignorant, but once again, feel free to let me know in the comments if you feel as though I am. I do understand, before you bring it up, that prolonged pictures in the toilet where it's just sort of one frame you're looking at, there's a lot higher likelihood to spot somebody who happens to be in said picture, as opposed to an IRL live stream where they just sort of fly by in a couple frames most likely. So I do get that, and I do acknowledge that, but nonetheless, it's still a problem that I do think is worth considering, right? And that's not me defending Lily at all, right? I do think that what she did in the toilets is fucked up and she shouldn't have done it. And if she got punished legally for it, I wouldn't be complaining.
Yes, 500,000 people or whatever number it is now have signed a petition to get me off of TikTok. But that doesn't mean it's going to do anything. If word of this petition ends up on someone at TikTok's desk, what they'll do is say, did Lily violate our terms of service? The answer is no, so they will not ban me.
Yeah, that's facts. Like, this is one of the reasons why I didn't endorse or link the, I guess, the petition in my last video on Lily Tino, because it just doesn't do anything, and anyone who thought it would do anything doesn't know very much about the internet. You can't just put a petition up on a creator that you don't like and have them fucking banned for life with no further investigation. I guess maybe part of the petition's goal was to, I guess, elicit a further investigation from TikTok toward Lily Tino, who is alleged to have done things that go against community guidelines. Maybe she's found some loopholes or whatever that sort of skirt by those guidelines that don't get her banned. I'm not too sure either which way, but I was pretty confident from the start that the, petition wouldn't really do anything. Sure, if someone made a petition to get me shut down, you could get a couple thousand people signing it, but it wouldn't do much, which is a good thing in my eyes, obviously. I'm sure it wouldn't be in a lot of other people's eyes, but, for me personally, I like eating food.
There's a rumor that I was fired from a job for being creepy to a woman. The only time I have ever exited a job when it wasn't my choice was right before I became a content creator, and that was a part of a round of layoffs. I didn't do anything wrong, and I wasn't the only one let go. It was a money thing. There's something about weird dolls in my basement.
Yeah, I mean, that allegation is, completely fair enough from Lily Tino in terms of their response to that, because it's like, oh, well, Lily Tino didn't show any evidence that she didn't stalk or harass a lady. Well, fair enough, but there was no evidence that she did stalk or harass a lady and get fired for doing so. So, if you're not providing evidence for the allegation, why would she need to provide evidence against the allegation? Truthfully, how would that even be fucking possible? Oh, you see you watching this video, your dad punched my cousin at some point in his life, and if you can't disprove that without a shadow of a doubt right fucking now, then you're dead to me, the entire universe, and we're fucking coming for you. We're gonna put a petition up and get your dad banned off of TikTok.
I do not have a basement. I got 625 square feet, okay? I ain't got room for creepy dolls. This is a bad one, y'all. There's a video that goes around of me from about a year and a half ago when I was streaming and talking to people in my Discord. During that stream, we were making dirty jokes about vegetables. The person I was talking to in the clip was named Shelby. Shelby was playing along, and at one point, Shelby said that her mom was listening, and I pretended to be embarrassed, and I brought the mom into the joke, and it was really fun.
I've seen the clip. It's not that funny. She has to sort of suck herself off at the end there, look, I really regret this, but the point of the clip was that it was this and that, and it was all, but it was really it was fucking hilarious. I'll be real, I am a fucking comedian, me, I've had this career for a reason. I'm a jokester. Not more to say about it, really, but I do regret it, and I shouldn't have done it, but it was funny, though. Just saying. Well, you know how, with YouTubers and that, you go back to, a year and a half ago, you hope to see some change, some development, some sort of, difference in their videos nowadays. Improvement, ideally. But with Lily Tino, I mean, self-admittedly, they were making jokes about vegetables a year and a half ago, and I guess they've upgraded now to sexual jokes about corn dogs and cake pops, which you've gone back a few steps, nutritionally at least. I think there are more, phallic vegetables than phallic sweet items or baked items. So in terms of being grotesque, yeah, maybe she's improved a bit, but in terms of, nutrition, she's gone back a few steps.
So Shelby is a 25-year-old woman, or was at the time of the video. She had a full-time job at a major American airline. She had a partner that she lived with, and her mom lived with her and her partner. Shelby was a grown adult, but that didn't stop people from taking that clip out of context, saying, oh, Shelby's a kid, because you can't see Shelby and you can't see the mom, and you don't have the context of who they are.
Yeah, again, you gotta back it at this point. People are just coming. This is what I said in the last video as well. People coming at Lily with these baseless, untrue, made up, false accusations, frankly. All you're doing is weakening the genuine arguments for her, because anybody reasonable, anybody who is actually looking at this in good faith, is now being forced to agree with her and side with her and defend her when it comes to these horrible, false accusations. If you want to take Lily down, then do it fairly. Don't make shit up about them. It's just a horrible thing to do to someone. I've got to find this video now just so you know. It was outrageous, to be fair.
Be honest, Shelbert. Or do you enjoy yours?
Yeah, I'm not going to play the whole video, but it was what she described, right? It was sexual jokes about vegetables or whatever the fuck, right? The fucking veggie, what's it called? Veggie World? You know the talking carrot and... What's the vegetable show called? Veggie Tales! Veggie Tales. Veggie Tales, aye. Veggie Tales is like pornography for Lily Tino.
What the fuck?
she's making sexual jokes about vegetables.
I thought it was corn dogs.
Huh? No, that's now. This was a year and a half ago. She's evolved from vegetables to corn dogs.
What, is that American vegetables?
A corn dog is just an American cucumber. Wait, cucumber's a fruit. Cucumbers are fruit.
Fuck off.
Yeah, cucumbers are fruit, aye. Cucumbers are fruit, so that joke don't make sense. I'm so sorry for telling a joke that is technically incorrect. My bad, guys. But yeah, this video asking if a minor likes his parts being you-know-what. I went Michaela Neguera there for a second. My bad, guys. Lily Tino talking weirdly to a minor! But yeah, like she said, when you look at this video, you don't see the minor, you don't really know anything about the person that they're talking to. It's just completely made up. And anyone who is even thinking slightly critically would have watched this video and immediately thought, like their first thought, if they're looking at this with any type of good faith, would be, where's the fucking evidence that this is a minor? Because I'm not seeing it. It could literally be anybody behind that screen or voice. She could be talking to like a middle-aged actual minor down at the coal fields or something, and you could just take it out of context and lie about it being a person who is under the age of consent. And again, man, it's like, unless anyone provides any actual evidence that this is a minor, I'm inclined to believe Lily Tino that it wasn't.
Let's talk about the flight attendant. This flight attendant claims that I was rude to the cabin crew on my way back from Orlando. First and foremost, I have never seen this person in my entire life. Second, I was flying back from Disney World. I was exhausted, and for the majority of the flight, I slept. I was not misgendered by anyone. In fact, one of the cabin crew on that flight was very kind to offer me a free little snack box because they recognized me, and I was very appreciative of it. People have started realizing that if they make up a story about me, they can get a lot of views, and that's not fair to you, the viewer, or to me.
Yeah, again, true. And I feel as though, I don't know if they were lying about it. I don't know if Lily's lying about it right now, but it's just two people telling stories with no evidence for either of them. It's just two anecdotes. Who knows which one's true? Once again, I'm inclined to just disregard both of them. Act as though it never happened. There's a strong possibility that the flight attendant made a video like that accusing Lily Tino of being an arsehole, knowing it would get loads of views, and knowing that Lily Tino most likely wouldn't respond to it. So he could just hop on, take the views, fuck off, and have a more successful career, I guess. Or maybe it is true, and Lily Tino's just lying about it, but the fact that there's no evidence, and it really wasn't that incriminating of a story to begin with, which almost makes it more believable. So if it is a lie, then it was a smart lie to tell, because it wasn't so bad, like, that it portrays her as, like, a cartoon villain, but it was bad enough to, like, if it is true, be sort of a, come on, mate, like, fucking be nice to service workers, you clown. But again, man, I don't know. I'm not gonna say either which way, but I'm just sort of gonna disregard it.
There's also rumors that I am on a registered offender list. That's simply not true, and you can Google that. You can search my old name, Nick, or you can search my new name, Lily. My name is legally Lily, by the way. That's another rumor. The last thing I want to talk about is the rumor that I'm not actually trans, that I've been pretending to take hormones or pretending to get FFS. There are some trans people out there that call me he and call me by my old name, and they say that I'm hurting the cause. Like, really? Really? If you don't believe that I didn't get FFS, look at the video I posted a few months ago. It's undeniable. And as for me doing this just for money, let me tell you something. If I was doing this just for money, I would have stopped a long time ago. I could definitely be making more money in a different industry, but I'm not, because I like doing this. I care about it. I think it's important. There is one rumor that is true, though. I've been dancing around it for a long time. I didn't want y'all to know. I am, in fact, a total babe. Thank you in advance for respecting my privacy during this difficult time.
Okay, the end of the video was fucking whatever, but the first couple minutes of allegations, I feel as though she was completely in the right to get on video and just call them all out for being a load of baloney. I actually think she handled that quite nicely. Like, if she wasn't angry or needlessly rude or horrible to anyone, just came in, said, hey, these aren't true, there's no evidence, and then went on her merry way. I respect that, genuinely, I do. Only thing I really disagree on there was that she did nothing wrong with the whole bathroom photos thing. Like, no, you really fucked up there, you shouldn't have done that. And even if you personally don't think you did anything wrong, to sit there and act as though you can't even fathom or understand why people had a problem with you doing what you were doing is incredibly either disingenuous or foolish. So after that video, a creator by the name of Mariah May Kay did an interview with Lily Tino, and they're also a transgender woman, so I feel as though it's gonna be more of a, like, I guess, educated perspective on the matter, interviewing Lily Tino. There's a lot of hard-hitting questions, or so I've heard, so I figured we'd give this a watch as well. I'll put it on 1.5 times speed, and let's go.
I started doing casually around the time that I started my transition. I went viral on LinkedIn, weirdly, of all places to start with, and started building a following there, and then started building on TikTok as well. And by the time I got laid off from my tech job, I had a base of a following, and that's how I was able to start doing it for a living.
Okay, what is your definition of a woman?
Fucking hell, we're coming in just straight in with what is a woman? It's such an annoying question. I don't like that question, personally. I feel as though a much fairer question to ask is what do you think a woman is? Or what is your personal definition of a woman? Because when you ask someone to definitively state what a woman is with the pure intention of trying to, like, fact check or I guess rebuke what their definition is, it's just a bunch of, like, debate bro nerdy bollocks. Like, those debate bro fucking types will say that shit like, oh, what is a woman? And you'll give an explanation and they'll go, no, actually, a woman is simply an adult human female. But then it's like, okay, cool. Well, what's a female then? Oh, well, a female is someone who can give birth. Okay, well, what about women that can't give birth? Oh, well, that's only a small definition of women, though. What, just like trans women are also a small percentage of women? Yeah, but being trans is a choice. You can't choose to not be pregnant or whatever. What is gender dysphoria? Do you choose to have gender dysphoria? It's a pretty fucked up thing to go through. Why would you choose to do that? And then you go down that fucking line of thing and it's like this endless obfuscation of bullshit irrelevant points, realistically. I just personally feel as though the majority of people who ask what is a woman in contexts like this on the internet, maybe not this interview in particular, but in debates especially, aren't actually trying to reason with you or have a productive conversation, if that makes sense.
That's a tough one because a lot of people have a very specific and narrow definition. But at the end of the day, for me, if you feel like a woman, then you are. There are no rules of how your body needs to be configured. If you are a woman, you are a woman.
Have you ever been charged or convicted of a crime?
One time. I've never talked about this. I will talk around this because it's of keywords, but let's just say that about a decade ago, I had, how do I say this? Gardening supplies with me. And yeah, no criminal charges related to anything other than that, though.
Okay. You've never had a restraining order put against you? Has anyone in your personal life ever accused you of stalking or harassment? Yeah. Have you ever had a Reddit account with the name Pomegranate in it?
Yes.
Okay, so a lot of this is just sort of going over the same points that we just watched in the recent response video. I'll try to skim through it and try finding like some actual hard-hitting stuff that we've not heard yet. That Reddit account with the pomegranate name, I'm sure will come up later because there was some, like, undeniably racist shit there that I feel as though Lily needs to address, as well as the accidental N-word comment that I addressed in my last video that I feel as though she really needs to apologize for, because if she doesn't, then she's a huge hypocrite.
Have you ever knowingly taken money or received donations from a minor?
No. I will say that, like, on this app, it is pretty difficult, right? Like, knowingly is the key word, right? Someone could easily sub and be younger, right? But I would have no way of knowing that.
I saw something about a doctor incident when you were younger. Is this a real situation?
Yeah.
Was what I saw real?
Yeah. Yeah. Basically, I had a Reddit account when I was younger. That was like, I guess the comments in question were around 2011. So I was about 18 years old. I was like just starting college. And basically what happened was I recounted a story from my past when I was 3, and there was another person who was 3. We were 3 years old, both of us. And we played doctor. And when I was 18, which was, again, 15 years later, I made a very off-color joke about that experience. I thought I was being like an edgelord at the time. Shocking humor was like what I thought was, cutting edge and cool and funny.
Was this something that you have memories of, or did you get like found doing this during this situation?
Yeah, I did. I have very vague memories. I was 3, so it's like pretty fuzzy. But basically, like, we played doctor once, and the school that we went to saw or found out, or I really don't remember, and I was reprimanded, and that was it.
When I was 3, I'm a guy, my other 3-year-old friend, girl, and I would play doctor. I put my fingers up her bum and licked it too. I guess it started from an early age. My girl's face right now, look to my right.
That's confirmed by Tino's account.
Yeah, well, she admitted it.
I have seen a Discord screenshot where you admit to a situation around posting discriminatory remarks. Do you discriminate towards anyone based off their race? Basically, are you the R-word?
Why? I love that she's asking that question as though Lily Tino, there's a chance that Lily Tino sits there and goes, you know what? Yeah, I'm not a fan of black people. Mexicans are like, yeah, they're okay. The Asians, they're cool. I get on with them. But God, those fucking Arabic people, them especially, they can go fuck themselves. But all in all, I'd say I'm like a 4 out of 10 racist. Like, what do you want? What do you expect Lily Tino to say to that question? Imagine going on a podcast or an interview with anybody and them just asking you, are you racist, by the way? To be fair, that's like the fucking... when I went to America for the first time, there was like an ESTA... I don't know if, like, that's like a big known thing, but before you go into America, you need to make an ESTA or file an ESTA or whatever that gets approved. And the ESTA has some very silly questions. It has questions like, are you a terrorist? Are you going to destroy the entire country? Are you going to kill our residents? As though someone who is an actual terrorist, their plans are going to be foiled by that question, because as much as their plans are to enter the country and blow a bunch of shit up, them being asked on the ESTA, are you a terrorist, is the roadblock there, because they're forced to say no. I might kill people, but I'm not gonna lie on an ESTA. I just love the idea of, like, someone actually committing heinous acts in America, going to court, and then being told by, like, the prosecutor, so, look, you killed 5 people. However, as you can see, on your ESTA, you said that you wouldn't kill anyone, and that's the real crime here. You know, the deaths are whatever, but the fact that you lied to America, God, that's more disappointing than anything else. Today's the 4th of July, by the way, America's birthday. Happy birthday, America. It won't be the 4th when I upload this, but either which way, have a good one, I guess.
I have no idea what screenshot you're talking about.
It was a Discord screenshot, and it looked like something you had posted in a Discord.
Can you read it, or
Do what?
can you read it? Because I really don't know what you're referring to.
It was just basically a confession about making some remarks. I don't really want to say the word of what it was, but you're not discriminatory.
I don't know what it was about. On the same Reddit account, like the one I was talking about, there was another comment where, again, I was like being, like, oh my gosh, like the edgelord kind of, the Elon humor kind of, when I was, 18 and angry and sad. There was some like really racist thing online that I saw, and I was like, oh, like I posted some comment that was like, wow, it's so funny. Well, come on, guys, it's a joke. Which was like dumb and stupid, and even at the time, not reflective of how I felt. But yeah, I'm assuming that's what it's referring to. But I've never.
I'm pretty sure that's the situation that I was specifically referring to.
Yeah, I've never like knowingly discriminated against anyone as like beyond something stupid like that 15 years ago.
I mean, that's all well and good or whatever. Edgy kid, fine. It was like so many years ago. Who knows how true it is or whatever. I've got no reason to believe that they're lying about not being horrendously racist. But I feel as though I hope the N-word thing comes up in this video, because for those who don't know my stance on that, Lily Tino said the N-word. It was very obviously an accident. I don't think I think it was very clear that they weren't intentionally saying the N-word. They were trying to say their dog's name, which was not. Fuck it, I'll play the clip. Okay, I can't find the video. It got deleted off of Twitter. So, I mean, to be fair, maybe that's a good thing, because if I put it here, maybe it get this video deleted as well. It's in a previous video, but I'll describe it. She meant to say her dog's name, which is Nugget, and then said the N-word and went, ooh, and then moved on like nothing happened. Which I feel as though, look, yes, it was an accident, and you shouldn't have your career ended because you accidentally said a word that you clearly did not mean to say. However, your entire career was predicated upon people accidentally misgendering you and then apologizing, because in your opinion, people need to apologize when they accidentally are discriminatory. And you were absolutely discriminatory, even though I acknowledge that yes, it was an accident. If you don't apologize for accidentally saying the N-word, then you can never get angry at anybody else for accidentally misgendering you. You've just got no moral ground or high ground to stand on at all until you apologize for that. Okay, here's the racist Discord thing that they brought up as well. The blackface comment was disgusting and inexcusable. At 18, I was in a very dark and sad place. I considered myself an edgelord and thought that offensive, dark, and edgy humor like this was funny. While I knew at the time that blackface was wrong, I thought it was funny to poke and prod with offensive jokes like this. Whoopsie. That was me subconsciously clicking off to avoid my horrible American accent, so we'll just read the rest normally. This is not who I am today, and I deeply regret saying it. As per the other post about an experience I had when I was 3, yes, it happened. I was playing a game of... And then it ends there, but I'm guessing they just sort of explain it. We don't need to see the rest of that message, so we'll move on to the rest of the interview, I guess.
Many have said that you intentionally seek to be misgendered for views, content, and free meals. You've said yourself that you don't have passing privilege, so to speak, and you have a deeper toned voice like myself. How can you or we expect to not get misgendered?
I mean, that's the whole goal, right? That's one of the big things that I advocate for. Is not, no one is I'm not asking anyone to read my mind. That's not on my slate of things to advocate for. I know that I don't pass. I know that I have a lower voice. I choose not to voice train. But when those videos of me getting misgendered go around, I know that I'm the one that puts them out. But it's difficult when I put those out to convey a greater context around it. That like I stream 4 times a week, if not more sometimes. In the past, I've done as much as 5 or 6 or 7 times a week. And I go to restaurants and I eat the food. hang out, and chat. And the vast majority of those times, I do not get misgendered, right? Sometimes I do. And when I do, I put those videos on the internet to draw attention to what happened, which is, hey, everyone should work on using more gender-neutral language. That is one of the big asks of my content, and the things I'm trying to educate about is we all should be using more gender-neutral language. So how can we expect not to get misgendered? The hope is that if we advocate enough, no one will have to worry about that, right? If we advocate enough, people like, and I don't know where you fall on this. I think that if I voice trained and maybe changed my body language a little bit and, did a couple other things, I could be in the realm of passing. Probably, maybe.
I just don't think that that's the goal of those videos. People have been begging Lily Tino to stop doing those sorts of videos because the waiters and waitresses a lot of the time clearly aren't either educated on these issues, right? On these quite progressive issues because they may be from countries of which they've never even heard of such a thing. Maybe they work in restaurants where they were specifically trained to use words such as sir and madam, and then you publicly outing them like this is gonna ruin or hurt their career. When in reality, maybe it's not even them that's truly at fault. There's just so many variables that are put into it that just make it all seem rage bait to me. It's the weird emotional manipulation that we get every time it happens as well with it's one thing to say, oh, you know what, it hurts when you misgender me or whatever, but Lily Tino takes it a step further. She's like, you've knifed me in the heart and banished my entire family to eternal damnation, which fine, I understand that it's difficult to describe what being misgendered feels like to somebody who has never been misgendered before, right? I will never know what it's like to be misgendered as a trans person. But the constant usage of it bothers me. I'm not sure if I can exactly verbalize it as well as I want to, but it's just bad vibes.
I know you're not the only person who has suggested that I'm overreacting, that my reaction is uncalled for. The reason I react like that is because, and I know this sounds silly, it's because that's who I am. I am a confrontational person. I complain about things, not just about getting misgendered. I love them. But also, when I see an injustice, I will stand up to it. All the time, every time. So, when I get misgendered, that's just my natural reaction.
All the time, every time. Except when I say one of the most horrible words that exist in the English language and then refuse to acknowledge it ever. Just say most times, right? You can cover your ass a little bit and just say, like, most of the time I'll acknowledge it, or go against it, or whatever. But when you try to paint yourself out as this morally righteous arbiter of fucking strength and virtue, and then try your best to chuck away that skeleton in your closet, it's like, well, maybe just stop bullshitting. Like, well, let's just, rain down from cloud cuckoo land and realize that we're human and that we don't always stand up to everything that we find to be slightly morally objectionable. Maybe I'm being too fucking pedantic, who knows? Maybe I'm being a dick, but whatever, let's just keep watching.
Why do you think it was okay for you to make the assumption and speculate that Kurt Cobain was trans when he is unable to respond to the allegation? Did you not think that that was disrespectful for you to assume, but yet be so adamant how other people should assume your gender?
I fully stand by that video.
This is a real problem as well that I'm glad we're getting into. It's a good thing that we're talking about this and that she fully stands by it, by the way. Well, it's not a good thing, but for me it is, because I've been defending her way too much in this video. I'm going to alienate a lot of new viewers, maybe disappoint the ones who have already come to be fair, if you've a consistent viewer, you know me by now. You probably knew this was coming, but yeah, this is some good old-fashioned Lily flaming right here that's about to happen, because that video was, oh boy, it was a bad video.
Kurt Cobain has been gone for 30 years. Kurt Cobain cannot hear us. No matter what we say about Kurt Cobain, Kurt Cobain's gone. Been gone.
But does that make it okay to speculate that they may or may not have been trans?
No, first of all, Kurt Cobain has family that are still alive and are very likely to have seen that video of you telling millions of people that they were probably trans. Kurt Cobain's daughter is very real and very much alive and very much married to Tony Hawk's son, who they have a child with. What a fucking cool kid that's gonna be, by the way.
I would never speculate about an alive person being trans, because that can impact that person's life if they don't want to come out, they're not ready to come out, or if they're not trans in the first place. It's the same reason that we look back on any historical figure. For example, Abraham Lincoln, who, when you look at the evidence, shared beds with men. I mean, there's a whole documentary you watch about it, but and I did a video about it.
Documentaries can be wrong, right? Documentaries are made by people, and people are wrong all of the time. There are so many documentaries about Abe Lincoln that have no mention of him possibly being gay. Now, obviously, we don't know for sure if he was or wasn't. I will say, sleeping in the same bed as another man during those times in American history was a lot more normal, right? A lot of spaces that they went to didn't have as much room. And I also don't think sleeping with men had the same sort of stigma around it that it does today, that that sort of links you to being homosexual. I don't think it was as much of a thing back then.
We will never for sure know if Abraham Lincoln was gay, just like we'll never know that Kurt Cobain was trans. But it doesn't hurt to speculate. Who's it hurting? Certainly not Abraham Lincoln. Certainly not Kurt Cobain.
Not out of respect for his family.
What do you mean out of respect?
To speculate about their family member potentially being trans or not.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. Like, with Abe Lincoln, it's a little more justifiable, I guess, because we're so far removed from him now. Like, the amount of people who knew him personally are very, very non-existent. I'm not saying that completely justifies it, but it is more justifiable in pretty much every sense of the word. Whereas Kurt Cobain, once again, there's very much family that still exists. There's still many fans of him that are, like, listening to the music or whatever that don't appreciate you speculating about him in that way. I'm not saying those fans are, like, particularly important in terms of, like, being able to dictate or tell you what you're allowed to do when it comes to talking about their hero. I'm not saying that, but I am saying that there are a lot of people whose feelings are going to be hurt by it. And I don't think it's a dick move or a bad thing necessarily to consider the feelings of the people that might be watching your video before you release it, which I'm sure Lily does. It's part of the game when it comes to rage bait and stuff. In fact, rage bait is literally considering those feelings to an extent higher than most people. It's just that you want those feelings to be negative. We wouldn't sit here and speculate about Kobe Bryant, for example, being gay. Like, that would be quite distasteful, or transgender. We wouldn't do that, would we? If I made a TikTok or a YouTube video being like, guys, Kobe Bryant, I think, personally, was actually gay, I'd get shit for it. Like, and justifiably so, because it's not appropriate.
I think that's disrespectful to the family.
Well, to suggest that an implication that a deceased family member of yours might have been a certain way, specifically.
But if it could affect their image of how people look at them, per se,
yeah, it could.
That could be damaging to somebody's image. And if it's your family, that...
You say damaging. What about being trans is damaging?
That's a really, really sneaky, but also very disingenuous and bad argument from Lily there. There's nothing necessarily damaging about being trans, and I see what you're trying to do by implying that everybody who has a problem with what you did to Kurt Cobain and his name is inherently a transphobe, right? But it's not the fact that you're levying that they might be trans that's the problem. It's the fact that you're levying something that they very well probably were not. It's not the fact that they're trans, but it's the fact that they weren't trans, if that makes sense. There's nothing damaging about being trans, but there is something damaging about being labeled as something that you were not.
Personal, like, even if it wasn't you speculating about them being trans, but like...
What if I was speculating that Abraham Lincoln was a lefty and like used his left hand? Is that okay?
I don't know. I just feel like, and I don't want to say how I feel. Like, okay, I'm trying to keep how I feel out of it.
You can say, I don't mind. We can.
I want to keep my feelings out of it. Okay, let's continue to move on.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that left-handed argument. I feel like there's a line that's been crossed in between speculating upon whatever hand someone prefers as opposed to speculating on their sexuality or gender identity. I'm not sure exactly where that line is, but in between those two things, there is a line for sure.
That your content or any specific piece of content may have caused more harm than good.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, countless trans creators have spoken out against you and the way in which you choose to create your content. Is this not concerning to you?
Some of those trans creators like to misgender me. I think a big narrative that has been really front and center lately, and I think it's hard to talk about this without bringing this up, is that there is a conspiracy theory amongst trans creators specifically that I am not actually trans.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Well, I think it's important to get into in context of this question. So when I see a trans creator calling me Nick or calling me him, no, it stinks to see it, but like, how can I take that person seriously?
I don't know. I just feel like there's like such a sheer volume of people. Like recently, as we've gotten closer into this, I've done a lot of like watching, and scrolling. Seems like there's such like a huge variety. It's not even just those ones that are like singling you out or only basing their platforms off of you. There's so many like offshoot trans creators, little creators. Like it seems like there's a fairly large amount of them.
I'd say a lot of those little creators, I'm not saying all of them obviously, but a lot of those little creators are probably just trying to piggyback off of Lily Tino's name because making videos on her gets a lot of views. Now, I will say, you can definitely want to get views, but also want to say something genuine about the conversation and be a part of it as well. I mean, that is kind of what I'm doing right now, right? I'm making a video, and if I knew this video on Lily Tino would get 5k views, I wouldn't do it. But that doesn't mean that I don't care about the things that I'm talking about either.
They aren't specifically like a Lily Tino T page or whatever,
I mean, what you're asking is,
does that concern you? Does that give you any second thoughts about maybe the way you're approaching, the way you deliver some of your content, so to speak?
I mean, look, as a content creator, I'm sure you can understand that the thing that makes us successful as content creators, and really the thing that makes someone built to be a content creator in the first place.
I will say though, I don't think it is good for those transgender creators to misgender Lily Tino and then claim to be an advocate for the cause and that she isn't. I don't think there is any reason to misgender Lily Tino. Like, just because there's someone who you don't like, that doesn't make them not transgender. It's like calling a black person not black anymore because they're an arsehole or they did something bad that you disagree with. Just because a transgender person, in your opinion, is racist, it doesn't make them any less transgender. It just makes them a racist transgender. Those two things can coexist, right? Transgender people can be fucking arseholes as well. So that misgendering Lily Tino, saying that she's not trans, puts a lot of pressure on people who transition, because you're basically saying to those people, if you don't perform in the way that I want you to exactly, I don't consider you part of the transgender community. You need to be at a certain level of likability to actually be considered trans. And if you fuck up or do anything that we disagree with, then your trans identity is going to be stripped away from you. I don't think it's a good message to send. Like, there's just no reason in my mind to misgender this lady. Especially if you're somebody who supposedly is supposed to stand up for trans rights. Like, if you're someone who is firmly against all the transgender stuff, then people might see you as a dickhead, including me most likely, but like, it's not as though I'm expecting anything more from you.
Okay, so how do you justify creating such descriptive content regarding gender reassignment inside of a children's themed park?
Disney World's for everyone.
But it's themed towards children.
Nope. There's things for children. There's plenty of things for adults too.
Yeah, it's for everyone, but it was they're not going to not allow you entry if you're over the age of 18. But it is for children, in the same way Disney movies. Yeah, they're for everyone, but they're for children. You know what I mean? Again, it's just really fucking disingenuous here.
Plenty of rides, you need to be a certain height. Children can't ride a lot of rides at Disney World. They sell alcohol there. They have events that are just for adults.
They do have events that are just for adults. I think people would have a lot less of a problem if you were making those videos at those events for just adults, but you don't. Why would you bring up the adult events when you don't go to any of them for these videos that people are angry about? Like, we're not talking about the adult events at Disney. We're talking about the regular days where children are fucking everywhere.
Those pieces of content, regardless of, I guess, if you think it's geared towards children or not, you don't think there's anything wrong with that?
Well, Disney World is not just for kids. Like, I mean, you could say that I filmed a video. Like, listen, how about this? I
just want to know if you think anything's wrong with that. Yes, you don't think anything's wrong with that.
Of course not. Why would anything be wrong with it? There are no kids in the video. Kids weren't listening.
What does it accomplish doing it there, and why not make that sort of content in a more private setting or setting that a lot of people perceive to be a children's themed park?
It's a fucking excellent question. I already know the answer, I think, but let's see what she has to say.
Why not do it somewhere else, basically? Why there, of all places?
Because I love Disney World. And there's a lot of fun, interesting visual things that I can...
Shit. She's chatting out of her ass. Shouldn't mention ass, actually. She'll try to stick her finger up it. You make videos at Disney because it gets people angry. Like, there is no reason why you couldn't make... There's a lot of variety and food ingredients and stuff to buy and look at and use as metaphors in fucking Walmart. Go to Walmart, buy them, bring them to your gaff, and make your videos. Educational videos, because a lot of the information there is genuinely rather interesting. I've watched a couple of Lady Tino videos, on this channel in fact, and come away with the conclusion of, you know what, that's actually pretty fucking interesting. But why have you done it in Disney World of all places? Because you know that's what gets people angry. That's what gets the views. That's what gets all the engagement. Even if it's negative, that's what you want, man. There's no reason why you can't just do this at home. There's more variety, there's more control over what you can talk about and what metaphors you can use in your fucking local shopping center. So just do that, plonker.
Have you ever visited any Disney park prior to transitioning and becoming a content creator?
Yeah. I grew up in Florida. Busch Gardens, Disney, Universal, Islands of Adventure. Love it all. How many times I rode the Men in Black ride when I was in middle school, over and over and over again. It was like it was like a part-time job riding that ride.
You grew up in Florida. That explains a lot, actually. I feel like Lily Tino is average Florida resident. I'm heading to Florida in November. I'm fucking dead excited for it, actually. I was there last year. It was amazing. I loved it there. People said I'd fucking hate it. People said that customs would be horrible to me, but they were so nice. Americans are lovely. I love you. Not you personally. You might be an arsehole, but as a collective, I think these are pretty cool. I'm gonna fucking jinx it, especially with what's going on now. They might not appreciate my kind as much at the minute, but we'll see and hope for the best, I guess.
So, going deeper into that, recently the Florida Attorney General has said that they are investigating the issue regarding your content in and around women's restrooms on your recent trip to Disney World. Do you not think this type of attention is harmful towards our community?
It's a bit of a skewed way to ask that question, right? I guess if you take the Florida Attorney General out of it, maybe we should talk about those pictures to begin with. Those pictures I took because it's important to normalize trans women in women's bathrooms. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, but the argument is that I guess the place you decided to do this is really what all this revolves around. You're adamant that Disney World or Disneyland isn't a children's themed place, but most people, the majority of people that visit or the reason they go is
Getting told off by Woody there. Woody from Toy Story telling her that she shouldn't film fucking women in the women's bar. I hate that filter, that TikTok. Is it like when you get a donation, the cowboy hat just comes up? It's very strange. People will be having like really serious conversations on that, and then there'll be like a big squeaky toy or a dolphin or some fucking Nigerian goat that eats a grass. Eats a grass. One singular grass.
But the majority of who's attending these parks and what their trips are around going there is children.
False. I mean,
So you don't think that that video and the bathroom selfies and including other people created negative attention towards our community?
there's negative attention towards our community, whether or not I am making content in Disney. People are going to find anything they can to attack us with.
It's such a shit out. Like, I've used this one before, but if I go outside and punch a man in the face, I can't use the defense of, look, people are dying. People are getting punched in the face all over the world right now. Are you really gonna punish me for just adding on to an ethereal problem that can never truly be solved? Maybe you could be a step in the right direction and not add to the ongoing violence going on right now. You know, maybe Lily Tino could do a step in the right direction as one of the biggest trans creators on the platform and, you know, make a change for good. Try to show the good side of the community as opposed to the rage baity side that gets people fired from their jobs and fucking ruins people's days and acts really inappropriately around children and says the N-word unapologetically.
There are ways to go about it rather than like doing all of this in like Disney World is the whole thing. Like as a parent myself, I just can't wrap my head around how you could think that that location specifically would be the place of places to go make these videos about gender reassignment and take a bunch of bathroom selfies. You have people in the back that didn't consent and they've came out and said they felt uncomfortable. And then you've responded with like a video somewhat mocking this person. Like all of this you feel is okay to do?
I think you're...
Like, you don't see any wrong, Lily?
Huh?
You don't see any wrong in any of this? Like,
Why? Why would I? You tell me.
okay, I'm not that's good. How do you feel about...
Yo, answer the fucking question, lady. What the hell? Like, Lily's asked you what's wrong with it, and you've just fumbled completely. The issue is, you have broken the law, you have broken the rules of Disney, and you've put people's faces on blast in front of millions of people who did not want to be put into the public eye in the way that you put them into the public eye, because it was in the fucking toilet where you cannot really record people. It's quite an intimate place, that place. You just sort of moaned and groaned and grumbled and stumbled and then moved on to the next question. Lily definitely thought she won that altercation, and you know what? The interviewer didn't do a great job, so she kind of fucking did.
How does Lily feel about this being like a thing?
It is already a crime to be trans in Florida, more or less. And it is becoming that more and more every single day. Being trans puts a target on your head in Florida. Whether or not you are a content creator making a point in Disney, it is unsafe. Trans people...
So if you were making a point in Disney, you knew the significance that the location would have on the content you were creating. You know how it was going to be perceived going into it. Like, people make content at Disneyland and Disney World, but they're eating the corn dogs. They're not talking about turning them inside out and using cake pops to describe bodily parts.
I think
Like, do you ever feel that there's a line you shouldn't cross, or you're willing to cross any line to get that attention, the views, that to get your word out?
Two things. Number one, I recently posted a video about sports, and we don't need to talk about it other than for me to say, when I was filming that, specifically the shots on the track and field, there were children around. They were around. Children are everywhere. That's what I'm trying to say. They're at the park. They're everywhere except my apartment, right? I can't go walk down the street for 5 minutes without seeing someone who's a kid, right? We exist in public as trans human beings.
Yeah, but if you did these videos at the fucking playground or nursery, there'd be a problem there, because those places, there's a reasonable expectation that there is a primary base of children there. Remember Michael Duval a couple videos back who did like pornography or sex work or OnlyFans in the fucking daycare? The problem there wasn't that he was doing OnlyFans, the problem was that he was doing it in a fucking daycare. If he was doing it at Disneyland, that would also be a problem. But if he was doing it in an apartment, it would be totally fine. Apartment. It's going against every bone in my body not to say flat. But it's the same way that if Lily Tino was doing it in a flat apartment, whatever the fuck you want to call it, it would be totally fine. Just do it there.
Okay? I love food. I love silly, funny content. I grew up watching a show called Good Eats, where
So are you calling the content you made at Disneyland silly, fun content?
yeah, I'm cutting a corn dog. That's silly.
The descriptions you're using it as.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't think that's okay.
Okay. I mean, a lot of people don't think being
Huge
trans.
amounts of people, like, and it makes them feel negative towards other people that are trans,
Okay.
regardless if they agree with it or not.
Do you truly believe that without my content, people would feel no negative feelings towards trans people?
I feel like there would be less.
You think that I am responsible for a lot of negative feeling towards trans people?
I think you have a significant reach. Your most viewed videos is 40 million, nearly 40 million views.
Not even close to 40 million. Like,
It's 39 million I checked today.
where am I getting 40 million views? I'm not getting paid for 40 million views. Maybe 4.
Okay. To keep going into that, what's the most amount of money you've ever earned off a single video?
Why have we moved on from an actual genuine conversation about the harm that Lily Tino might be causing to the transgender community onto how much money do you have? You know, just let me know a little bit of that guala, that green, that money, brilliant cash. Sorry, I ran out of words there. It got really uncreative. Just a strange, unnecessary To be fair, I don't know if this woman interviews people for a living. I don't know if this is her first time doing it. I hope so. I hope this is not her job and career, because if so, then with all due respect, you need to find a fucking different one. But Lily Tino's question there, where it's like, do you believe that my content has changed a lot of people's minds about transgender people? I think that it is very possible that a lot of people who may be on the fence about transgender rights, or I guess the moral efficacy of transgender people and where they belong and the type of content they're allowed to produce, may have watched a video of Lily Tino's that may very well have 40 million views, by the way. Like, if we take across views across all platforms or reposts on Twitter, 40 million is not an unrealistic number. Maybe just not on her account, like, specifically, but outside of her account, I have no trouble believing that a video of hers has reached 40 million views. I think that there are definitely some people who may have been on the fence that definitely get swayed a certain way, at least to an extent, by Lily Tino's content. You know, people might think this is, you know, the most popular transgender creator, this is who they've opted to choose to represent themselves. Obviously, it's a very ignorant and, you know, boneheaded way of thinking, but it's a way of thinking that a lot of people have, unfortunately.
So you do not do and make this content and this, what you know is controversial. You said yourself going into Disneyland, you knew the reaction you were going to get. If you're not doing this for views and money, why take your content so far and be so controversial about it?
The point is not to be controversial. The point is to engage, to educate. If you sit down and aim a camera at your face and say, bottom surgery is the process by which a surgeon takes a blah, 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 and does a blah, 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 and flips the blah, 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 no one's going to care. No one cares. But if you take an otherwise boring topic, whatever it is, and this is why I was talking about the shows that inspired me as a kid. Good Eats is one of them. Bill Nye the Science Guy, Iron Chef, Mythbusters.
It's not true, necessarily. If you know what you're talking about and you're very educated on the topic and you have some charisma and you know how to talk in front of a camera, you can deliver information about something that you are passionate or knowledgeable about, and people will listen. There's so many channels that do it. There's so many documentaries that are based upon stuff like that. I understand that making it entertaining is important to a lot of people, and that makes total sense, right? I want these videos to be entertaining as well, and if I ever transition into, like, informative style content, like proper documentary style content, I would also want them to be informative as well as entertaining. But again, the way to make your videos entertaining does not, like, is it impossible to make a good video anywhere but Disneyland? Is that really the fucking issue here? I just need to do it in Disneyland, and I happen to do it there because I love it there so much. It's like, fuck, you can do the same thing at home. You can.
So they take relatively uninteresting textbook concepts and they bring them into their content with props, with lights, with music, with all these different things to make it fun, exciting. And that's how they teach you. Right? No one cares about a textbook. It's boring.
Yeah, but it's a more fragile environment that we live in, especially in this political environment that we have, and all these things that trans people are dealing with. To purposely go into Disneyland and talk about such descriptive and inappropriate things at some points.
What's inappropriate about it?
It's just not an appropriate thing to do at Disney World.
Why?
I don't understand how you think that is okay. And going into more of this, some would argue that your content is being aimed and directed at children. Between the impersonation of children's characters and the content in the Disney parks, you've even gone as far as creating other content, as you would like to put it, while portraying children's characters. How do you justify this, and how could you think that this type of behavior is acceptable?
This interviewer really is not doing a great job at hammering Lily in the way that she needs to be held accountable. She just sort of says, this is wrong, and Lily asks why, which is a perfectly reasonable question, and then in response she gets we're moving on to the next question, because I guess she just can't think on her feet quickly enough, or doesn't know what to say exactly. It's like, no wonder Lily thinks she's doing nothing wrong, because no one can fucking explain to her properly what she's doing wrong.
And going into more of this, some would argue that your your content is being aimed and directed at children. Between the impersonation of children's characters and the content in the Disney parks, you've even gone as far as creating other content, as you would like to put it, while portraying children's characters. How do you justify this, and how could you think that this type of behavior is acceptable?
Like Velma?
Several children's, or not several, I know of two. That one and
Lola Bunny?
Miss Rachel.
Oh, I never...
Two different, I'm not saying you did both in the other content, but you've used children's characters.
I've never brought Miss Rachel into other content.
Yeah, she hasn't. Like, that is just, I know that for a fact. Miss Rachel was never brought into the OnlyFans videos. That would be insane if that actually did happen, by the way. But obviously, fucking didn't. Like, that's just a false accusation. This lady clearly hasn't done her research. What did she say she did? She did Velma and Lola Bunny, whose name we don't speak of on this channel. Me and Lola Bunny, we have a speckled history, to say the least. If you know, you know.
You have a video where you're, like, dressed up like Miss Rachel, am I wrong?
There's no... Velma has been a character for like 60 years.
You have a video where you're dressed up as Miss Rachel. Yeah, but that was not in the OnlyFans. That has nothing to do with the other content that you described. How can you accuse someone, like, predatorily or aggressively of them making sexual content of children's characters like Velma as a way of, like, trying to lure children in? Velma, there's been, like, sexy Velma cosplay for decades now. There's like costumes and people just make dumb shit sexy sometimes. To go against someone or like accuse someone of being a predator for using Velma in like a erotic way is horrendously unfair, in my opinion.
So you don't understand why people are upset about that? You don't understand why that makes people upset?
Oh, I understand. I'm not stupid. I mean, I get it. But also, like, the alternative, like, yes, I could say, you know what? My content is too provocative. Let me just dial it down a little bit. My content immediately becomes boring. And the message you send out...
You think you only have something if you're controversial? I don't think that's true.
That is essentially what Lily Tino's admitted there, right? Oh, I'm going to dial it back a bit and then I become boring. Okay, so what you've admitted there is unless you're intentionally trying to make people angry, there is no value to your content, which to an extent is kind of true. Like, you're not exactly the most witty or charismatic individual. You're just very rage baity. You're very good at making people angry and using a community that's been disparaged and discriminated against for decades now as a means of doing such a thing. And you don't want to dial it back or tone it down or be less offensive or rage baity because you know that you won't get as many views if you do such a thing. You've basically admitted in a roundabout way, in your own little way there, that you're doing this for rage bait, for controversy, for attention, not because you genuinely care about the cause.
I mean, if thought-provoking art is crossing a line, then we just have a disagreement on what art is. If you are upset that a piece of art...
Art is not going to Disneyland cutting up a corn dog. That is not art. That's diabolical.
What are you talking about? Why not?
Have you ever communicated with a minor in an inappropriate way?
No.
Again, these transitions are insane, but like, yeah, I would personally not consider art to be going to Disneyland and cutting up a corn dog and pretending that it's a pussy or a cock. I don't think that's art, unless you play very fast and loose with the definition, but in that case, pretty much anything can be considered art in your fucking eyes. I do think intuitively, most people will believe that that is not art, but maybe some people logically will be able to like justify it to be some sort of form of artistic expression. I personally don't see it that way. I think that's a crutch that she's using there. But just to turn it back to Lily Tino's side now, unfortunately, there's another video here, part of the interview, which I think is just as fucking ridiculous as a lot of the other bullshit allegations that have been levied against her. Lily Tino turns red after PDF question. We're expecting Lily Tino to be, you can call her that red panda from that one Disney film, the way that she's about to turn red here.
Ever communicated with a minor in an inappropriate way?
No.
There's an allegation of a stream and a mom coming in and changing the subject.
The vegetable thing? I made a video about that. That person was 25 years old. There are people in this.
Oh my god, she's turning red. Oh, it's just like the panda. Oh, fucking hell, that's horrible. Oh my, jeez. Oh, is that Lily Tino or is that a fucking Red Delicious? Naz, be sure to zoom in on her face right now as I'm talking and notice how it's not red at all. And certainly no redder than it was at the start of the video. The only thing red in this fucking video is the text that you've used. I just don't understand how people can buy it. This has 2 million views and 130,000 likes and it's just complete bullshit. Unfounded bullshit. People accuse me of being like too defensive of this woman. How the fuck can I not defend her when the allegations are this fucking shoddy and like clearly manipulative as well. I'll give her fucking critiques where she deserves to be critiqued, but I'm not gonna just baselessly and mindlessly, carelessly denigrate the woman either. I learned in my psych class that when people look left a lot or move their eyes to the left a lot when speaking, it's because they're lying. I don't remember the reason why the body does that, but it's my favorite thing to look for when having certain conversations with people. Just fuck off, you pretentious wee soppy bastard. Fucking hell. Thank fuck that TikToker is not in a court system or a judge anywhere, because, man, how the world would be such a horrible place if that's all it took. Anyway, after all this, Lily Tino put out this rather perplexing video. It's very out of character for her. It's her basically announcing in a roundabout way that she's quitting for the time being. So let's give this a watch.
So the whole point of why I do what I do, which is create content, is to educate and to entertain, in that order.
Also money as well. Like, let's not sit here and pretend like we don't make videos for money. Every content creator makes videos for money. Like, there's a lot of content creators who have such a passion for it that if they weren't making any money from it, they would still be making videos. I myself am one of those people. If, you know, social media had no money in it, tomorrow I would go and get a job at fucking Nando's or something, work a normal job, and then still make videos on the side, but a lot less frequently. In fact, for me in particular, I actually think my videos would be better if I wasn't making any money from them, because I wouldn't be under a time schedule or want to get a video out in a certain amount of time in order to capitalize on the relevancy of whatever topic it is. I can just sort of take my time, do whatever I want. But that's besides the point, right? But anyone who makes like content like Lily Tino does and then say that the main purpose is to educate or entertain people is clearly chatting shit. Especially when she adds in that order, because she herself admitted in the interview that she doesn't want to do videos at home, even though they very well could be more educational, because they would be boring. That seems to me as though the entertain part comes before the entertainment. No, the education part. It's my bad. It's two E words. It's difficult for me.
And I think that recently my content has taken a bit of a shift to be more, well, I'm hurt. I am deeply hurt because of the amount of hate that I've gotten over the past 3 years doing this, 2.5 years. And that hurt has influenced the way that I do things. As a content creator, especially as a streamer, I'm always on camera, talking all the time, daily updates about where I'm at. And I think that the hurt that I feel has influenced the way that I've pushed in my content to be confrontational and be in your face about what I'm trying to do, which is ultimately teach people about trans things.
So this does seem to be an acknowledgement that she has shifted towards the direction of rage bait and being provocative, which she vehemently denied in the interview. Maybe over the past week or so, she's come to terms with reality or done some self-introspection or something along those lines. Maybe this is yet another scheme for attention because she thought she was becoming less relevant or something. Who really knows? But either which way, I think it's good that she's coming to this realization if it is real and she is being genuine. I do wonder why it only came to her now and not earlier on, but I guess better late than never. Once again, though, I have reservations about giving her complete credit because I really don't know how genuine this actually is. But it is true what she's saying. I do think there's validity to the words that are actually being uttered here, because when you go back on Lily Tino's account, it was a lot less provocative at the start of her career, right? It was a lot more focused on education and less on rage bait. And then maybe one video that got people angry skyrocketed, and then she sort of learned or realized, ooh, getting people angry seems to be the way to go on this app.
Hopefully make for a more accepting world. But I don't want the hurt to be a part of it anymore. That shift is not fun for me at all. It's actually really awful. And it doesn't just impact me, but my family and my friends. And, I'm not here to hurt anybody. I'm always going to be a confrontational person, but I think there's ways to do it that are not channeling the anger I feel at the world for hurting me.
There's a lot of parts of this video that I do think are undoubtedly true. Like the bit about how this impacts her and her family. It's like, yeah, no doubt. No matter how apologetic you are, whether it be genuine or fake or crocodile tears or whatever the fuck, right? There's no doubt that the amount of hate that you're getting online has an effect on you. It would have an effect on 99.9% of people. And if it has that much of an effect on you, it will also have an effect on your family, who would have been affected by it either way, because they don't want their family member being talked about like shit on the internet. And if she does genuinely want to change and stop the hatred to, you know, the extent that she is getting it, maybe it's never going to completely go, but maybe make it closer to what a normal amount of hatred for a social media personality is, then that is within her power. She can do that. And it would take a shift in content, and it would also take a video like this, to be fair, where she acknowledges everything that she has done wrong. And then, but this is the important bit, you need to actually shift into content that is educational and not rage baity, and I guess demonstrates a genuine effort to do what you're saying you want to do.
So to that end, I'm gonna take a break. I don't know when I'll be back. I'll be back, but I don't know when. I need to take some time. I'm not gonna change myself for anybody. That's never gonna happen. But I am gonna work on the way that my hurt has taken over my content in some ways. So, thank you for all the support, and I'll see you somewhere down the road.
And that's the video. I feel like it's pretty succinct, pretty fair, honestly, and there's not much else to say about it. I hope it's real. I hope it's not rage bait. I hope it's not a ploy for attention, and I wish her all the best. I hope that this is real, and I hope that she learns from her errors, and that if she ever does come back, it's in a way that is less provocative, less rage baity, and more of an effort to actually help the community that she claims to care about so much. I have a feeling that the comments of this video will have nowhere near as much sympathy, but we'll have a quick look. I mean, yep, 4 in a row of the same copy and pasted bullshit comment that garner up to like 10,000 likes when you combine them all. What a shock. Now, usually at the end of my videos, I go over a comment or something, but it's like 5 a.m. here, and my beautiful, amazing girlfriend is literally falling asleep on the floor because she didn't want to go to bed until I was done recording for whatever reason. So I don't want to sit here and go on a long rant like I did in my last video. So to replace that, I will show you this fat bird on the shelf. See this fat pigeon thing? I love it. I got it from the Barrows here in Glasgow, which is like a market sale. If you know what Camden Market is, it's sort of like that, but before it was gentrified, it's so much better than that shit. A lot of people get together, and it's a fucking lovely place. Got that GameCube from there as well. Where is it? Where is it on the shot? There it is, over there. GameCube. Oh, my head's covering it, my fat head. Got that GameCube there. And I got this fat bird from a viewer. Big up Morgan. Hopefully you all enjoyed the video. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you all in the next one, I guess. Bye.